If you've just clicked on this video, it's probably fair to assume that you're considering moving here to Dili, Timor Leste to live and work for a while, or you're just curious to know more about the cost of living and everyday items here in the capital as an expat. So in this video, I'm going to walk through the cost of groceries, fruit and veg, water, fuel, electricity, right up to those bigger purchases like scooters, motorbikes, cars, four-wheel drives, apartments and houses in the capital. My name's Adam. I've lived in Dili, Timor Leste as a freelance videographer for the past 3.5 years. And just before we get started, please hit the subscribe button for more Timor Leste content. Okay, let's get into it. So over the last 2 or 3 months, I've been filming a lot of the groceries and fruit and veg that I've been buying. And first of all, we're going to run through that to give you an indication of the cost for those everyday items. And then we're going to move on through the vehicles, buying a vehicle versus renting a vehicle here. And then finally, we'll finish on apartments and housing. $2 for a big bunch delicious red bananas. And fruit, so good. $1 for 5 or 6. A handful of delicious looking garlic, $1. $3 2 locally grown broccoli. 2 yellow capsicum imported from overseas, $2. A common item for Timorese breakfast, paun or bread. 5 locally made white bread rolls, $1. Locally made Portuguese style white baguette, $1.75. Much in demand item, mainland cheese, not always available in the shops. Expect to pay $5 to $6. Crackers for your cheese, $2. Imported UHT milk, $1.50 to $2. A 250 gram bag of coffee, and there's many delicious types available here in Timor Leste, will set you back between $3 and $4. Imported cereal, this one from Portugal, $4 to $10. Huge bag of locally made prawn crackers, $1. Imported chocolate, $3 to $6. Tin tomatoes, $1.30 to $2. Random lentil and vegetable soup, $3. $2. A can of soda water, $1 to $2. $2.50. $3. Okay, so that's just a selection of the groceries that you can get here in the capital and some of the prices. Obviously, there's a heap I could have filmed, but yeah, that'll give you an indication on what you can expect. So quickly moving on, let's talk about coffee shops, cafes and restaurants. An espresso is going to set you back between $1, $1.50, a flat white $3 to $4. Breakfast, say scrambled eggs on toast, around about $8 to $10. A pizza, $12 to $18. A burger, $10 to $14. Thai, Indian, fish and chips between $8 and $14. And then you've got your local Timorese, Indonesian style warongs, and that's going to set you back between $3 and $8. And now one of the most popular ways to get your drinking water here is via the big plastic gallon bottles. Now each gallon bottle initially costs you $9 or $10 filled up. And once you've got the bottle, you can simply swap it over when it's empty and it'll cost you $1 each time. So what we do here is that we put out our 4 to 5 empty bottles each week, and we get the new ones delivered to us, and we just give them $4 or $5 per week depending on how many bottles we put out. And that's what a lot of people do across the city. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a decent water filter and you can drink out of taps, then obviously you don't need to worry about the whole gallon bottle thing. I personally know of a couple of compounds that have the necessary water filtration system so that they can drink water straight from the tap. But like I say, most people will be using gallons. For us, we spend $4 to $5 per week on drinking and cooking water. And one of the big positives of using these big plastic gallon bottles is that you don't have to buy the small plastic bottles which then go into landfill or end up in the ocean. Okay, so moving on to internet. Now the way that the internet works for most people here in Timor Leste is that they will buy what is called a pulsar. You can buy these from people, street vendors all across Timor Leste, right from $1 up to 20, maybe even more dollars per pulsar. You scratch off the code on the back of the pulsar, you punch that into your phone, it gives you credit, and then you can buy internet plans and phone packages using that credit. Now there's 3 different providers that you can use. I use Telkomsel, which I find is the best here in Dili, Timor Leste, and I purchase a $2 a day plan, which is unlimited data, and I find that's the best plan for myself. I'm a heavy data user, uploading these YouTube videos and so on, so yeah, $2 per day. But you can buy weekly plans, you can buy monthly plans, you can get 50-cent daily plans, so it really depends on your internet needs. So just quickly to recap, for myself, a heavy data user, I'm spending $2 a day, so $14 per week for unlimited internet. Now the speeds are definitely very variable depending on the time of day and depending on outages and stuff, which happen quite frequently. So it's not the fastest internet, but it's definitely usable most of the time. Fingers crossed. Now when it comes to electricity here in the capital, there's 2 ways that people handle it. It's either included within your rent and therefore you don't need to worry, or you need to go off, find your local electricity kiosk and purchase electricity. You hand over cash, they hand over a piece of paper that has a big long code on it. You come home, punch that code into the meter outside of the house, and it tops up the units. Now electricity is around about 12 cents per unit. It is staggered depending on how much you buy, so those first units are the cheapest and then it goes up if you buy more. Now obviously it's very challenging to say exactly what you're going to spend per day on electricity, but to give an example of what I use here, working primarily from home with an air conditioning unit running in the office, I estimate that we use between 20 to 25 units per day, and therefore the cost comes out between $2 and $3 per day. So now moving on to some of the bigger ticket items like transportation. Now I'm a cyclist here in Timor Leste, so I'm definitely no expert, but I have done a bit of research on Dili expats and gone through and looked at some average prices for what scooters and motorbikes and cars are selling for, and so that's what this is based on. So if you're looking to buy a second-hand scooter, between 800 and 1500 USD for a second-hand, and new 1300 to 2500. Now there seems to be plenty of second-hand and new options available for scooters, and also you can rent a scooter for around about $100 a month. Now when it comes to motorbikes, you're looking at between 1500 and 2500 second-hand. You can rent one for $150 a month, and new, looking at 1500 up to, depending on how much you want to spend, I guess. The motorbikes here do tend to be a little bit on the smaller side, and it may be more challenging to get some of those bigger engine bikes. Okay, so if you're thinking about buying a second-hand car whilst you're here, I've taken a quick look at Dili expats on Facebook, where a lot of the cars are advertised, and just pulled off some ranges for different size cars to give you an indication on what you can expect to pay. Now the smallest thing I found was a second-hand Honda Fit. That was 2000 USD. A medium-sized car like a Mazda Demio, 5,500 up to 12,500 for a newer model, 2021. And then the Mitsubishi station wagon, so a little bit bigger again. A 2016 model would be 13,500, and then you're getting more into the four-wheel drives, which you might need for some of the districts here as the roads are pretty rough. If you wanted a Toyota Hilux, 2007 model would cost you between 10,500 up to 13,500. A Toyota RAV would be 6,000 for a 2004 model, right up to 13,500 for a 2012 model. You can also buy new, but I have no idea what new cars would cost you, but I'm sure you can look online and get an indication for those. And just like you can rent scooters and motorbikes here in the capital, you can also rent cars and four-wheel drives. So there's a good 6 or 7 places that I know of that you can rent from. It's just not particularly cheap, but it's doable. So a small car that you can cruise around Dili and the good roads on will probably cost you between 45 and 75 USD per day. But if you want something beefy like a Land Cruiser or a Prado, four-wheel drive to go out into the remote districts on some of the rough, bumpy roads, and you're going to need a four-wheel drive for that, it's going to set you back around about 100 to 150 USD per day. Like I say, it's not cheap. Fuel currently is around about $1.45 a litre for petrol and $1.65 a litre for diesel. So now on to the biggest ticket item, accommodation. Apartments and house renting in Dili, Timor Leste can be somewhat challenging, especially out of country, to organise and arrange. The best thing to do is start to look on the Dili expats Facebook groups, put a message up and also see what people are already advertising. And then once you get in country, if you're still looking, start to spread the word amongst the community about the sort of place you're looking for, whether it's an apartment or a house, a private place or a compound, the facilities you're looking for in the area within Dili also, and obviously your budget. Now, variety is huge within the capital. You've got apartments, you've got houses, you've got compounds, like I say. The quality range can go from very poor up to pretty good. And also the facilities and services, you could include cleaners, you can include cooks, you can include gardeners, you can include security, swimming pools, gymnasiums, etc., etc. Or you can have none of that and just have the house. For a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment or a house in a fairly decent area, you're looking to pay low end 400 right up to 700-800 USD per month. Now if you're looking for a larger place or one of the higher end accommodations within a compound, I would say budget between 700 right up to 3,500 USD per month, depending on, like I say, what you're looking for. It's also important to say that all of these prices are negotiable as well. Everyone is willing to negotiate on price depending on lease and what availability they have. So yeah, definitely feel free to negotiate when you find a place that you like and you're considering. Now there are also room-only options as well, which could work well if you were a single person that was coming into country and wanted to be in country whilst you found something more longer term. Now single rooms tend to start from around about 150 up to 350, 400 per month, depending on location and quality. If you're thinking of staying in a hotel in Dili, Timor Leste whilst visiting, or for the short term whilst you find longer term accommodation, I would say there's around about 15 hotels in the capital, and they start at 45 USD per night right up to 150 USD per night. Whew, that was a ton of information in one video. But I think if you're thinking about moving to Dili, Timor Leste, that will be enough information to start building up a budget and what you can expect to spend whilst you're living and working here. If you want to know the cost of anything else, drop me a comment. If you found the video useful, hit like. Remember to hit subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Cheers guys, thank you.